Do you want aim like this? And piece control like this? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing my insane updated 2025 Fortnite keyboard and mouse settings. So if you guys want insane mechanics, aim, edits, and piece control, be sure to check out this video. I'd recommend watching the whole video because for each setting, I explain why I have it on or off, so you can make an informed decision to make sure if you want to have it on or off yourself. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So going into our Fortnite settings right here, we have the first column, which is video, okay? And this is where our display settings, our graphic settings are for the FPS, okay? So I'm going to give you the best performance in game. So windowed mode, you want to put this on full screen. This is what's going to give you the most FPS and the least delay. You should know this by now. Resolution 1920 by 1080 on a 16:9 ratio for most monitors. If you have a 2K or 4K monitor, put it on your native resolution, but this is the standard for most monitors. VSync, you want to keep this off, okay? If you have VSync on, that is going to give you massive FPS stutters and performance decrease. Frame rate limit, now you want to put your frame rate limit onto whatever your monitor's hertz is, okay? So I'm on a 240 hertz monitor, so I put it on 240 FPS. If you're on a 144 hertz monitor, put it on 144 FPS. Same with 60, same with anything else. I mean, this makes sense, right? Why would you want to have your PC showing a higher FPS than your monitor can actually handle, right? It's just going to be producing unnecessary frames. So just put it on your monitor's refresh rate. Now for the rendering mode, there's actually a new mode. So we've always had DX11, DX12, right? And then the legacy performance mode, this is what performance mode has been on for years, okay? This is the one everyone uses. And then there's a new performance mode, okay? The new performance mode uses more of DX12 with performance mode, and this one is more DX11. And we want to go into the legacy performance mode, which is what the old performance mode was, and which is what everyone's been using for years, okay? So just make sure it's on legacy performance, okay? This is going to give you the most FPS. Now moving on to your graphic settings, for the brightness, you want to have this somewhere in the middle, not too dark or not too light, okay? So if it's too dark, you're going to see more shadows, and if it's too bright, you're not going to see many players or stuff like that. So you want to have it somewhere in the middle. I'd say around 100% is just perfect, so keep it like that. For the colorblind mode, I definitely recommend 𝗧𝗛𝗘𝗦𝗕 5. This is what's going to give you the best, nicest graphics, okay? It looks very nice, as you can see on the side. All these guns look very, very nice. User interface parallax, you want to keep this off for better performance, okay? Do not turn this on. Okay, so moving on to the graphics quality for performance mode, you can ignore the auto set quality, right? And move on to 3D resolution, and you just want to make sure this is on 100%, okay? If you turn it down, your resolution is not going to be as nice, and 100% is what allows your game to run on the native resolution that we set earlier, okay? Dynamic 3D resolution you can ignore. And then view distance, okay, you want to set this to whatever you want, okay, because it doesn't actually affect performance as much as people think. So I actually have it on far, right? You could have it on epic even, so you can see players, but I definitely have it on far. It doesn't affect performance as much. But then textures you want to set on low, okay? Textures and meshes both on low, because this is what affects performance. So have this on low, which will give you the old mobile build effects, which is very nice. So have these both on low for the best performance. And then advanced graphics, show FPS, you want to turn this off, okay? Because if you have show FPS on, then your PC is actually registering how much frames you get, which obviously is a process, and it's going to decrease your FPS in fact. So turn this off so your PC doesn't have to check that every second. Latency markers, turn that off. And then NVIDIA Reflex Low Latency, you want to have this either on or on plus boost, okay? Depending on how good your PC is. So if you're on a low-end PC, I definitely recommend putting this on plus boost. And if you're on a high-end PC, mid to high-end, put this on, okay? Very, very nice. And then report performance stats, you just want to put this on disabled. Okay, so moving on to the audio settings. Picture-in-picture, you can just ignore this one. Sound quality, you want to have it on low for better FPS and performance. It's also going to make the pumps sound cleaner, okay? 3D headphones, you want to turn this off, okay? Do not run on 3D headphones. Background audio, notifications only. Subtitles, you can just ignore this. And then visualize sound effects, you definitely want to have this on. This is what's allowing you to see player footsteps from like 30 meters away. It's absolutely crazy. You can see healing, gunshots, everything. And then put your audio output device onto whatever your headphones are. And then licensed audio, you can have this on play, okay, unless you're streaming, put this on mute. Okay, so moving on to the communication tab, I have this all on just preference. So if you want to have your voice chat, text chat on or off, just customize this to your liking, and we can skip, okay, to the game settings. So language and region, you want to have this to auto, so your closest region. So me, I'm on Europe, so I can actually just set this to Europe. Or if you're unsure on what region you are, for example, if you live in America and you don't know NA East or NA West or NA Central, well then just put it on auto. It's going to find the closest server always, okay? Language, just put this to whatever you use. And then movement, toggle sprint, you want to have this on. Auto open doors, have this off, okay? You don't want to accidentally open doors. Mantle activation and hardware activation, put these on hold jump and press jump, okay? That's very important. For the combat settings, hold to swap pickup, have this on. Toggle targeting off. Mark danger when targeting on. Auto pick up weapons on, okay? This is very important for off spawn battles. Swap fire buttons for pump and dump, have this off. And then preferred item stops, you definitely want to configure these, okay? So this is what I use. So I have assault rifle, shotgun, unassigned utility. And then my shields and stuff, my healing goes to the unassigned, and then my assault rifle of course goes here, or an SMG if I don't have an assault rifle, but my assault rifle is the preferred one, okay? It's very nice. Auto sort consumables to the right, you want to have this one on. And then building, reset building choice, you can have this on, it's not really important. And then turbo building, of course, you want to have this one on. And then editing, you want to turn simple edit off, okay? Make sure you do not have simple editing on. Disable pre-edit option, you definitely want to have this on, okay? So unless you're playing team game modes where you are the assigned pre-editor in your team, you should definitely turn this on, or you're going to mess up your edits, okay? Auto confirm edits, I have this on edit, okay? So I have confirm edit on release on, but I don't have it for the reset because I'm used to, you know, having to reset my builds with the double check, okay? Tutorial contextual chips, turn this off. And then extra game options, you can ignore the turbo delete setting. NVIDIA highlights, turn this off for better FPS. Peripheral lighting on, tap to search, interact on, and then keep your FOV to the max, okay? This is what's going to allow you to see your whole character as much as possible. You can turn the emo music tracks on, and then replays, you can have these on or off. So if you play scrims, obviously you're going to want to have them on to upload your replays and, you know, watch your games back. However, if you're just more of a casual player, turn these off for better FPS. And then you could ignore everything else. So the energy saving, all of that stuff you can ignore, and then go ahead into the game UI tab. So going to the top, reticle and damage feedback, reticle on. Reticle ammo indicator, you want to have this on. Show spread on, show recoil on. Pool reticle on. Damage numbers, you want to have this on cumulative. This is what I use. This is what all the other pros use, like Peterbot. Okay, this is what's going to allow you to see all the numbers in one go. So the Fortnite does the maths for you. Reticle damage feedback, you want to have this on hit only. Damage number scale, have this on the max, so 125% at the time of recording. And then HUD options, you want to have your HUD scale on something low, so 70% is good. Show spectator count on. Show quick bar buttons on. Player health on, resources on, minimap on, quick bar on, target info on, pick up loot stream on, map and backpack keys on, elimination feed on, latency debug stats, you want to turn this off, okay? These are just unnecessary performance stats. Net debug stats, you want to have this on, okay? This is your ping, so you definitely want to have this on to see how much ping you're getting in game. Quest progress, you want to have this off. Control prompts on, and then creative runtime performance, turn this off, and you could ignore the patchwork tooltip setting. Okay, so the next tab, gyro, touch and motion, we can actually skip past this because these are controller options, okay? We can actually go ahead and go onto our mouse sensitivity for the mouse and keyboard settings. I'm sure you guys have been waiting for this very much, okay? So this is my updated sensitivity, okay? So you can skip past the first three settings and you can actually see my X and Y axis sense are both the same, so 5.8%, okay? This is very, very nice. And on an 800 DPI with my mouse, okay? So that is very, very nice. It gives you like the best smoothness while also being able to edit fast, build fast, doing all of that. So I definitely recommend using the sensitivity. Targeting sensitivity, I've on 35%. Scope sensitivity on 35%, very nice. And then building and editing are on 100%. Zoom scaling, you wanna have this on legacy. Ignore controller input, you can have this on if you have a controller plugged in. And then lock input method as mouse, you can have this on as well, okay? To make sure that if you have a controller plugged in, you are using keyboard and mouse, okay? That's very important. And then keyboard movement, for your custom diagonals, you want to copy these settings, okay? This is what gives you the best strafe angles, okay? The best, nicest custom diagonals, okay? So forward diagonal angle, 76, strafe angle, 90, and then backward diagonal angle, 135. Okay, that's very, very nice. Touchpad sensitivity to maximum, you want to have this on. And then mouse flight, you want to have this 100%, okay? And then tank settings, you want to turn this one off. Okay, so moving on to the actual keybinds for the keyboard and mouse settings, right? This is what I use. And yeah, these are some very nice settings. I'm gonna run through all of them real quick and just like know anything that's like important. Okay, so I'm gonna like run through everything. So movement is just WASD. That is very standard. Okay, that is what you guys want to use, of course. Crouch is control. This is what everyone uses as well, so nothing crazy here. Sprint is 3, auto run is 2, so auto run is very accessible, so is sprint. Jump, spacebar, of course, and then fire, left click, aiming, right click, reload R, all still standard. Okay, so my pickaxe is my first mouse button at the top, and then my weapon slot 1 is the one below that. Okay, so my pickaxe and my weapon slot 1, so my pickaxe and my AR, they are both on my mouse. And then my weapon slot 2, so my shotgun is with caps lock, which is kind of nice and easy because you can simply access that on your keyboard. Weapon slot 3 is shift, weapon slot 4 is G, and then weapon slot 1, so my sniper, okay, that is on 1. And then use I have on E, so I pick up with use with E. And then also I have my scroll wheel down to pick up, so obviously if I'm off spawn I can just use the scroll wheel. So you hear that, that's my scroll wheel going. It's very, very fast. Of course you can use that to pick up items, so that is called scroll wheel pickup, which is what all pros use. I mean, a lot of pros use a macro. Of course, we don't use that. I definitely not recommend doing that because it is against Epic's terms of service. Targeting to toggle your scope mode, you can have this on whatever. So in fact, mine's on caps lock, which is actually a weapon. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put this on like 4. Okay, so just have this on a nice free button. Okay, that is very, very nice. Building. Okay, so to crouch your building, that is the same. You should always have it on the same. So control, and then wall V, floor X, stairs F, roof Q, trap T. Okay, so what you might notice, right, all my build binds are on my left hand, and that is because I am left-handed and I just prefer using my left hand to make all the builds. Okay, and obviously I use my mouse for my weapon slots. Okay, so if you are left-handed or you just prefer using your keyboard and you're new to the game, I definitely recommend using VFXQT, something like that, all on your keyboard. Why? Because if you try to combine your keyboard and your mouse for building, it's going to get like very difficult with timing, stuff like that. So if you have it all like decently accessible like this, it's very, very nice. I know 𝗏𝗟𝗕𝗏 does something similar, so does clix. It's very, very nice. Okay, place building you want to have on left click. Repair and upgrade, have this on a free bind, so I have it on Z. Rotate building is R, nice and simple. Change building material on right click, that's what everyone uses. And then building edit, okay, this is very important. I have mine on C as well, so it's in time with my wall, my floor, like all my building, right? So it's all in time on my left hand. And then I also have it on scroll wheel up, if you notice, okay? And this is what's gonna give me scroll wheel reset. So I'm gonna get onto like how to set that up very, very soon. But have building edit on C, and then also your scroll wheel, one of your scroll wheel up or down, okay? Crouch while editing, have this on control once again. Select building edit, left click, and then reset building. You wanna have this on right click, and then also scroll wheel up. So notice how I have it on building edit and reset building edit. So I just scroll to reset my whole build. It's very, very simple, very, very clean. So that's nice and simple. And then reset building, you don't even need to bind this. For communication, text chat, toggle text chat, you can have this on enter so if you want to go into your chat. Communication, to mark stuff, I have it on my actual scroll wheel. So like click the scroll wheel down to bind this. So I'll show you. So click, you have to click with your scroll wheel. That's for my marking. It's very, very nice and simple. Push to talk and place any mark, I have these off. Squad requests is off. Chat again is on enter. And then emote is on M. It's kind of far away from my bind, so I don't accidentally press it, which is a common issue. And then all of this is kind of nonsense. Locker emote slot 6 is F9. I don't even know why that's there. Let's turn that off. And then all of this, okay, is kind of nice. I have a lot of these like not binded because I don't really go slot up, slot down. Toggle inventory, I have this on I, but that is not actually my inventory, right? The actual inventory is down here on cursor mode. You want to put cursor mode on Alt, okay? So this is what's gonna open your inventory, okay? But like nice and simple, so you don't have to press it twice, okay? So have your cursor mode on whatever you want to open your inventory with. Previous pick a wheel and next pick a wheel, you can just ignore these two settings, okay? Toggle map, you want to have this on tab, okay? Something like that, nice and accessible for your map. And then down button out carry, down button out place, object carry, object place. Okay, you can just put this on something nice. I have it on my edit bind C, so this is what's for picking up players when they're knocked. Okay, that's nice and simple. Now Falcon Scout, you can actually ignore these settings because the Falcon Scout is not actually in the game. Okay, augments input, you can ignore these. Augments are not in the game. Maybe they'll make a return soon. Flying, you could ignore. No one is flying. Riding, okay, have this on E to dismount, which is nice and simple. It's like exit. And then sprint, whatever your sprint button is on. Hover, you can ignore. Vehicle mods, vehicles, loot shark, shopping cart, you can all ignore. And I think we are done there. Okay, yeah, it's all just vehicles. and we are done. Okay, so nice and simple. Now going on to the controller tab, obviously I have controller settings videos on my channel before, so if you guys want to check them out for controller settings, okay, so all of these, but you can just pass these and then go on to the last tab, which is just your account. Okay, and what you can do is just adjust any of these to your liking. Okay, so public game stats, you want to have these on for your Fortnite tracker. Friend invite permission, I have mine on no one, so no one can add me during a tournament. It's nice and simple. But those are my Fortnite settings. Okay, nice and simple. So if you guys enjoyed these Fortnite settings, please be sure to like and subscribe. I'm on the road to 100,000 subscribers, so I'd really appreciate everyone subbing. But if not, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.